Alrighty guys, we're back for some mono red artifacts, and this is a Wilds of Eldraine Standard brew. We're gonna go over the deck, then hop right into some ranked, but first things first, for anyone who may not know, I'm Red Cat and I play aggro decks and any decks with red in them as well, so I hope that sounds fun to ya. Also, we do got that Discord link as well as that Patreon link down in the description if you're interested in joining either of those up. Okay, what do we got packed into the build here? We got all four Sir Ginger the Meal Enders. It's a 2-mana 3/1 legendary artifact creature, Food Knight. It has trample, hexproof, and haste as long as an opponent controls a planeswalker, which is a lot more than you would think, guys. I mean, like, Wandering Emperor is just everywhere, so. Yeah, whenever another artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Sir Ginger and scry 1. Beautiful, dude. It also has that bottom food ability. For 2 mana, you can tap this, sack it, you gain life equal to its power. Overall, man, this card just seems super stacked. Even though it's legendary, I think it's going to be worth all 4 of them in here. Also have all 4 Patchwork Automatons, of course. 2 mana, 1/1 ward 2. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you get +1/+1 counter onto Patchwork Automaton. Very powerful creature, dude. Yep, going to be terrific in here, huh? While we're going over the 2-drops, we might as well go over our one of High-Speed Hoverbike. This is a 2-mana 2/2 vehicle with crew 1. It has flash and flying, and when High-Speed Hoverbike enters the battlefield, tap up to 1 target creature. Yeah, not half bad, dude. I really like the flash in a deck that has like Patchwork Automaton because there's some pretty neat like combat tricks you can do where the opponent thinks that, oh, the opponent's not going to accept this trade, and then you just like flash in Hoverbike and it's like, well, it's not a trade anymore. Automaton gets that counter and whatnot. Or you can, of course, like tap down an important creature and get a valuable swing in, like tapping down Shieldred or something, and being able to swing right by it could be really, really good. Look at all these 1-drops, man. We got all 4 Experimental Synthesizers. Not something you want to play out on turn 1. You do want to try your dandiest to utilize that top ability on the Synthesizer. And hopefully it actually comes into play a lot in this build. We have all 4 Rabbit Batteries in here. Kind of just a terrific creature in general, even if we're not worried about giving haste to other creatures. Worst comes to worst, you can always reconfigure this in an attempt to avoid a terrible board wipe from the opponent. Your opponent drops Sunfall and you have a couple reconfigured rabbit batteries, at least you'll still have a couple rabbits on the board for the next turn, right? We have a single Reinforced Ronin here, also kind of playing around board wipes, right? Because it bounces back to your hand at the beginning of your end step. Also, that channel ability could come into play. For 2 mana, you can discard it, draw a card. Beautiful stuff, man. We got 2 Torch the Towers here because I do think the exile on this goes a very long way. There's tons of stuff in here to bargain because you can sacrifice artifacts for the bargain, right? So also a couple Voltage Surge here, and this could be any configuration between Torch the Tower and Voltage Surge based on whatever meta you're seeing, right? Like, does the 4 damage go a lot further than the exile on Torch the Tower? Yeah, against some decks, I suppose, right? So maybe you want 3 Voltage Surge and only 1 Torch the Tower then, if that's what you're seeing more of, right? So yeah, Voltage Surge dealing 4 damage is gonna come in handy. We have all 4 Gingerbrutes, a 1-mana 1/1 with haste, and for 1 mana, it can't be blocked this turn except by creatures with haste. Beautiful. Has that bottom ability, which is just a food ability. You pay 2, tap it, sack it, gain 3 life. You never know when that'll come in handy. We have all 4 Iron Apprentice in here, a 1-mana 0/0, but it enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it, and then when it dies, if it had counters on it, you put those counters on target creature you control, which is terrific in a deck that has Gingerbrute. Slamming extra counters or any amount of buffs onto Gingerbrute happens to be really good. Okay, we went over the 2-drops already. Onwards to the 3-drops. We have all 4 Urabrask's Forge. 3-mana artifact that we play with, I guess, often, but we don't get to see it too often, so I'm going to go over it, especially in this deck where it's going to really... it was kind of the centerpiece of the build, which we'll go over the mana base in a second as to why. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you put a +1, you put an oil counter on Urabrask's Forge, then create an X1 red Phyrexian Horror creature token with trample and haste, where X is the number of oil counters on Urabrask's Forge. Sacrifice that token at the beginning of the next end step. Yeah, speaking of getting around board wipes, Forge is another great way to do that. Actually, against board wipe specific decks, I think this deck's going to be terrific against those. So yeah, all 4 forge, and the reason I wanted all 4 is because I have all 4 Mycosynth Gardens in here as well. Speaking of the mana base, dude, it's a pretty greedy mana base with only 13 red sources, but we have so many colorless artifacts packed in that I think we're allowed to go greedy for this one. I don't think it's going to hold us up at all. So Mycosynth Gardens, you can tap it for a colorless. You can pay 1, tap it, add 1 mana of any color. But the bottom ability here, X, you can tap this. Mycosynth Gardens becomes a copy of target non-token artifact you control with mana value X. So what ends up happening with Mycosynth Garden and Urabrask's Forge is if you play Forge on 3, on 4 you play a 4th mana. With Mycosynth Garden, you go X is 3, copy the Forge. And we know how absolutely devastating 2 Forge in a row can actually be. And this just kind of helps you get those double Forge even if you don't actually draw the double Forge. Also, a lot of other cool artifacts that we wouldn't mind copying in here, like the Patchwork Automaton's a great example, dude. Sometimes you need more creatures on the board, and if you copy the Automaton and start spamming out artifacts in your hand, yeah, buffing up both of those is pretty terrific. Also, the fact that you have to tap Mycosynth Gardens for that bottom ability, like, you wouldn't really want to copy a creature with haste. I guess you could, because it'll be tapped, but that's like a perfect example of why copying Forge is so good, because it doesn't care if it's tapped. So okay, you know what, while we're over here looking at the mana base, let's go over the rest of it. We also have a Monumental Facade here, which is great to plug extra oil counters onto the Forge as a one of. I don't think we want too many, not too many cards use oil in here, but there is one more that we didn't go over yet. A couple Mishra's Foundry, because creature lands is pretty important sometimes, and a single Mirrex too. Just being able to generate token artifact creatures could really come in handy. Those token artifact creatures work when they die with like Sir Ginger, because it says another artifact, doesn't say like non-token or anything. Also works with like Voltage Surge, Torch the Tower. I think Mirrex is going to be fine. Crucible, of course, and then a bunch of mountains, because we're going to need them. So the rest of the build, guys, we have Atraxa's Skitterfang here as a 2 of. It is a 3 mana, 2/2 artifact creature. When it enters, it comes with 3 oil counters on it. So here's another one that we could potentially plug extra oil counters from the facade onto. So at the beginning of combat on your turn, you may remove an oil counter from Atraxa's Skitterfang. When you do, target creature you control gains your choice of Flying, Vigilance, Death Touch, or Lifelink until end of turn. Yeah, dude, I actually think this is a pretty powerful card in the right build, and I think this might very well be the right build. I mean, an artifact build, right? It makes sense. That bottom ability can be insane. Being able to give invasion to a beefy automaton sounds incredible, or maybe you're almost dead against like mono red or something, right? Go lifelink on that automaton instead. Buy yourself an extra turn, and then maybe you give that invasion to the automaton next turn. Realistically, though, if you're up against something like mono red, it's probably going to be life gain a couple turns in a row, especially since Skitterfang can easily get burnt away. But yeah, also rocking a Liberator Urza's Battlethopter here as a 1 of. It's a 3 mana, 1/2. I don't get to see this too often. It is a legendary artifact creature, rocking flash and flying, and you may cast colorless spells and artifact spells as though they had flash. That could be insane. Whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana spent to cast that spell is greater than Liberator's power, put a +1/+1 counter on Liberator. So this could get relatively chunky in the air. Not too chunky, but I mean, at least it gets something, right? So that's pretty cool. Okay, at the top end, we got Witchstalker Frenzy. Sometimes you just got to do 5 damage to something like Sheoldred, right? This does not hit Planeswalkers. That's definitely noteworthy. And in a deck like this, I think we're going to be swinging with a lot of creatures all the time. So I think it's going to be really easy to actually just get this down to 1 mana. But I'd say more often than not, you're probably looking at it as a 2 mana card. Okay, some honorable mentions over here. Some cards I thought about. Churning Reservoir didn't make the cut this time, but it could be a really sick one in here. Same thing with Eater of Virtue. Very like cheap for giving something +2/+0 and then having that sick ability. I think giving Gingerbrute and Eater of Virtue just sounds absolutely incredible. So maybe we want like a 1 of in here with Virtue. Honorable mention for a reason, huh? Either way, guys, I think that's everything. Let's go ahead, take it into some ranked, and see how we do. All right, we'll see if we can get right into that first game here. In the meantime, what am I expecting from the build? There's an opponent. Awesome. All right. What am I expecting from the build? I think it's going to be good. I don't think this is the way to put together competitive mono red, but I still think it's going to be really cool. Oh, the greedy mana base coming into play here. Dude, let's try it, huh? No red source in hand. Let's do this. That's really funny. I mean, technically, Mycosynth Gardens can be a red source when it comes time. Hello, opponent. Hello. Don't laugh at me, opponent, if I don't get any red sources onto this board. Ooh, Tranquil Cove. Okay. That could be scary. Start with the Gardens. Let's start with the swing on Gingerbrute. Experimental Synthesizer isn't bad. It really isn't. We don't want to play it next turn though. Like for 2 mana, we don't really want to do that. We'd rather get the Automaton down. Start with the swing here because yeah, I hope it's not a counter spell, but it probably is, huh? At least we have the second Automaton in hand. Syncopate for 1. Okay. And that exiles too. 3 open. Synthesizer. Okay, you know what? Maybe it's Synthesizer for the turn. Maybe we'll find mana. No, probably not. We're probably going to try the Automaton again. It was probably a mulligan, guys. It probably was. Hey, Automaton lands on this board. They go for Quick Study. 2 cards. All right. Pretty much anything would be good for us. Yeah, Sir Ginger's fine. That'll be great once they get their Wandering Emperor down. Like, Synthesizer find land would be really good, but what if we don't find a land, you know? Would it be better just to spam out some creatures instead? Let's try to find that land. Let's do it. We have a good chance. It's not... This isn't like one of those decks that only has 18 land. I think we have 21 land in here. Automaton, no. Automaton. For Fiend's Tower. Hey, we're getting some damage through. Maybe spamming out those creatures would have been a little better. The Ward 2 on Patchwork Automaton is just so good against these removal-heavy decks. Of course, board wipes exist. But yeah, the rest of the deck is completely stocked to go up against these board wipe style decks. So a lot of that they'd want to counter when it came time. Like if we find our Forge, for example, those would be perfect counters for the opponent. Wow, they go Union and gain 6. They still have 2 mana open. Battery. Yeah. Okay, alright. Alright, this is the turn where we just spam out some other cards then instead of risking it with Synthesizer again, because I guess it's going to be a little bit more difficult to find that third land than I thought it would be. It's a great swing. And hopefully that board wipe doesn't come down, right? That is 47 cards remaining in the deck. We've only had these 2 in our starting hand, so I think we have a really good chance of seeing mana next turn. If I'm correct, then there should be 21 land in here. There should be. Sunfall, womp womp. I mean, we knew it was coming eventually. Oh no. Oh no, guys. All right, Synthesizer. See the top? It should be a land, man. Yes, let's go. Okay, we got there, guys. All right, we're saving that Synthesizer. We actually did some pretty great damage. They gained 6 from that Union, so that is something to think about. We actually did plug in some really good damage here. Flash on Liberator is probably... Maybe it's just Synthesizer again. Because what are the odds we see a 3-mana card? A lot lower than anything else in the deck, right? Probably a 1-mana card. But Liberator's probably the flash for next turn. And I want to save Sir Ginger for when they get the Wandering Emperor down. I wasn't paying attention to the incubator, guys. That's 110% my fault. Maybe we get lucky and... Okay. They could still power up this incubator, though. I was going to say, we have 3 open, so technically they might be playing around a burn spell in our hand. So Wandering Emperor. I suppose it's still going to be Liberator attempting that on their turn, right? Did we? I mean, with the incubator out there, it would have just been much better to save the rabbit battery back, right? Also have Synthesizer's ability open as a sorcery only, though, so it's not necessarily something you want to do unless you want to see the top part of your deck again, though. Yeah, the Sunfall definitely is enough to slow us down for a while. Swinging for 7 here is just going to be take the 7, attempt the Liberator. Had we drawn a little better this game, I think we had a good chance, man, just based on the amount of damage we were actually able to inflict. Usher Ginger is going to gain haste now that they have the Wandering Emperor, so that's going to be excellent. And that's going to buff the Battlethopter. It's up to just a 3-1, so we really want to get rid of this Samurai too, so we'll get rid of the Synthesizer then. So we start with that, right? Voltage Surge, submit the Synthesizer, because we might see a Surge Ginger off the top here. Yeah, we want to get rid of the ground blocker, so that way Surge Ginger can actually do the thing. I guess now that we saw the mountain, I guess we go Synthesizer again, because again, we could see Surge Ginger, or 2-drop that we'd rather play. Mycosynth Garden. Okay, at least we're not drawing that next turn, right? All right, Surge Ginger, let's do this, buddy. Let's take care of this Wandering Emperor. Look at that hexproof. Look at it go, guys. Look at it go. That's awesome. That's perfect. The perfect card to clean up a Wandering Emperor. Of course, they could have something that could get a blocker down. Something at instant speed, create a token.
Try not to miss.
Emperor is out of here. We do lose the hexproof on that Surge Ginger now. Look at all these poor exiled cards, man. Down to 8. Is it going to be a board wipe? Sunfall? They're at 12. They go lay down arms on the Surge Ginger. We're back up to 11 because of that. That's not bad, guys. It really isn't. We go Skitterfang. Thopter gets another buff. We could go Vigilance, so it blocks the 1/1 at least. Nah, that doesn't seem great, does it? Power up Foundry swing. We just go like Synthesizer, see a card off the top, and have Torch the Tower here open. I guess it's going to be Skitterfang. They still have 3 cards in hand, guys, so like we're in danger regardless. It just comes down to what feels less dangerous to actually get onto the board, you know what I mean? That is a 3/4. We're going to take that action for sure. Target Battlethopter. Vigilance gets around a Wandering Emperor exile too, so I don't think it's Lifelink. I think it's Vigilance. Because Wandering Emperor number 2 would be disgusting. Oh, Seat of the Empire, though. Oh, no. I mean, we had to attempt the swing anyways, I would say, right? What did I end up tapping there? Did I let Auto Tapper not let me keep the Torch the Tower available? Watch out for Auto Tapper in a deck like this, guys, where the mana base is super greedy. Yeah, I think I should have been able to have 1 mountain open for that turn. Because I don't know what else I would have done. Yeah, I think I just let Auto Tapper not keep my mountain open, which could be really bad, actually. Like, not having this Torch the Tower open could be really, really bad. Brutal, brutal blue-white control decks recently, guys. This is like the Sunset Revelry ones. Luckily, they didn't get that early on. They might be holding it in hand, actually. White Sun's Twilight. That's gotta be game, right? That's gotta be. Oh man, they only have one card in hand now though. Let's see what we see off the top with the synthesizer. Yeah, you see the auto tapper there. Well, yeah, now that. Yeah, we want to keep a mountain open for sure. I was gonna say if we see a land off the top, then we could have kept the Mycosynth open, but it's still better to do this. Now we have torched the tower. Do we want to do it on our turn or their turn? Let's do it on their turn, because I guess there might be a better target. Although if they counter the torch the tower, then that could be really bad too. Queen's Tower, see what they see. They still have 6 mana available. They go for the full swing. Block, block. And then we take out one with the torch the tower. Which we're not going to bargain. Although the scry would be pretty good, I think we're going to have to activate that synthesizer next turn to see more off the top. Down to 2, 6 poison, +1 counter on our Vigilant Samurai. Oh man, yeah, White Sun's Twilight also gained him a bunch of life too. That's brutal stuff, man. We could swing with Foundry. We have to not die next turn, so we have to. Actually gonna keep that Mycosynth. No. Since we have the other one in hand, that's fine. More red sources is probably better. See what we see off the top with Synthesizer. Gingerbrute. It's actually not bad at all, is it? So we can go Gingerbrute. And then have a blocker open, and then Mycosynth Garden could copy the Gingerbrute, actually. Sheet 3, we have 3 blockers open. Is that sorcery only? No, we can do that on their turn as well, so I'm going to. We gotta keep the Gingerbrute as a blocker. You know what? Okay, alright. Good. I was gonna say maybe we should have played around another Seat of the Empire, but that kind of seems like a silly thing to play around sometimes. Especially if they've already played one. Oh no, yeah, they're still gonna have the 2 because of the Mirrex. I guess we're gonna have to use Gingerbrute's ability to gain some life, but we're still taking so much poison here. Especially if they find removal for one of these. I can't believe we're even still in this, man. Like, honestly. I feel like the deck is doing all right overall. And a lot of that came down to the synthesizers, just being able to see more off the top after losing so much. They did end up finding removal, but gaining some life here. They're going for the poison then, for sure. They're opting for the poison, which I suppose we're almost dead from poison. Taking the 3, that's gonna trade, or do we want to gain life? I guess the life gain doesn't matter, and we might as well go ahead and activate this. X is 1 to copy the Brute. It's tapped, but at least we'll have a creature for next turn. And I'd rather the trade than the life gain since we're at 9 poison now. The way we're like sticking this out. Dude, Urabrask's Forge early on in this game would have been so good, man. Oh, and the Mycosynth Gardens could have copied it and everything. Now, Mishra's Foundry helps us block. So I suppose we just keep Foundry open and maybe copy that Brute with the other garden. Right? Yeah. So if they find more spot removal in hand... Oh my goodness, guys. I just clicked through it. I'm being silly. We could have swung with the Samurai, but I think that's okay because either way, this is heavily leaning towards the opponent. Oh yeah, and I keep forgetting they can power up another, an extra one with the Mirrex here too, so... Yeah, either way, that's it, huh? You know what, for fun, I'll copy that Brute again, right? Still pretty cool. I love Mycosynth Garden. It's so neat. I wonder if this could have been I wonder if this could have been a different match had we seen that forge a little earlier. Although if we saw it a little earlier, good game opponent. If we did end up seeing it a little earlier, we didn't have the mana for it for a while too. That was a good chunk of time where we didn't have the mana for that. So I don't know. That really depends. Let's hop into the next one. And this time round, instead of testing a super risky hand, we'll go ahead and mulligan if we see something like that. Although it is very tempting to test it again if we see that. If we see that, because it kind of worked out in the long run. We were just, it ended up being way, way, way too slow for control for sure. Okay, oh, much better, dude. Oh, yeah, and we go first. What do I start with here? Apprentice, keep something on this board state. Let's go Apprentice. Instead of the swing with the Ronin. And Sir Ginger. Probably should have just played the mountain instead of the garden, but it really didn't matter there, did it? I want to play Sir Ginger before the swing. I feel like sometimes that would be good practice. If this was like an open swamp, then I guess on the stack they would want to cut down the Apprentice before Sir Ginger lands, but I guess it really depends. Like, you never know sometimes. Okay, Gingerbrute. Gonna be a counter. Huh. Okay, Ronin. Let's do this. You know what? It probably should have been Ronin first and then have them counter that. Because Gingerbrute actually landing on the board would have been a little bit better, I would say, right? Hottie Jin. Great blocker, but Witchstalker Frenzy gets around it, luckily. Except we don't have enough red sources on this board. We should have 21 land. I should probably double check that. We might need 22. The deck seems like it wants a lot. Voltage Surge also takes care of Hottie Jin. This is going to be 2 mana anyways, so we should probably do Witchstalker Frenzy instead. Keep the Voltage Surge for another time. Like, while we can do that, we should do that. When it's down to 9, they could go Island, Hottie Jin number 2, only have a counterspell open this time. It's going to be Delver 3 open. Oh boy, 3 open, guys. Automaton off the top. Great blocks for the opponent on the ground because, like, well, yeah, any 1/1 is a great block against a 3/1, you know? If we go Ronin, then we don't have anything else for the turn. We full swing. Losing this Sir Ginger would be brutal. We don't know what this is either. Alright, we see if they accept the trade into the Delver off of the Apprentice, and we actually hold Sir Ginger back because I think the Voltage Surge immediately gets countered first of all. With 3 islands open, 4 cards in hand, it's better to see what they do with this board state and then try to get Automaton down, I would say. Okay, they go for the block. It's a good trade for us. Get 2 counters onto Sir Ginger and a Scry. And we could attempt to Scry land on top, which we desperately need another land here. Forge, yep, we can't even play it, so we gotta ditch it. Crap, dude, now I'm second guessing if I actually ended up putting... Okay, let's get that let's attempt the Automaton, right? Yeah, I'm second guessing if I ended up putting 21 land in here or not. I mean, 21 isn't a lot, don't get me wrong, so... Okay, make disappear. It's not too bad, as long as we get to keep that Sir Ginger on the board. Like, they had 1 mana open last turn, so if it was a Fading Hope, they would have spent that mana. So Sir Ginger might just be alive for now. 5/3's no joke, dude. And don't forget we have Ronin to potentially slam down here. Thirst for Discovery. They're doing all this on their turn. So they must not have much in hand at all, dude. One island, do you think they found their Fading Hope? Probably, huh? There's a Witchstalker Frenzy. Maybe it's like High-Speed Hoverbike. Maybe we swing. And then when they play a creature on their turn, we flash out Hoverbike and tap down that creature. Yeah, let's do that. Let's try that instead, because then we can also keep things open like Voltage Surge and stuff. Slip out the back. Okay, that's actually not as bad as them bouncing it to our hand, I guess, right? Could also try to find the mana with Synthesizer, but if we miss, then we don't have any plays for next turn. The land has been rough so far, guys, but I kind of feel like we're getting a little unlucky with the land. It might be how I set up the mana base too, because it is pretty greedy with all the utility lands, but I don't know. Jin, I'm gonna tap you down, buddy. High-Speed Hoverbike. Come on, get that tap. And if they counter this, well, I guess they could have two counters open. Okay. Slip out the back. Okay. Mishra's Foundry, that counts. That counts. That's good. That's good, because now we have two red sources available. Which we could go... I guess we could have started with Synthesizer then, if we wanted to. But it's probably just Ronin, right? Tough decisions. High-Speed Hoverbike. We're not dead yet from any swings from the Hottie because they didn't get anything through. I guess we start with Synthesizer then, since it's going to be a Ronin play. Oh, we found a mountain. Crap. Yeah, we should have started with Synthesizer before playing the Foundry. But now Foundry is ready to swing in next turn if we need it to. Opponent's down to 1. Ronin bounces back to hand. And I don't think they can get that Hottie Jin to 20. Although I guess you never know sometimes. I don't think so, though. They'd have to do something insane here to get that Hottie Jin that buffed. Now, 2 Hottie Jin on the other hand, like, I'm pretty sure we would have just perished this turn. And we would have had to play around that a little bit. Up to 8. 2 islands on the board. Voltage Surge doesn't hit the Jin, but Witchstalker Frenzy still does. And they go for the swing. 2 islands open, is that their way of conceding? Consider. 1 mana open. Fading Hope. They drop the GGs. I'm playing it out just in case, dude. Because Fading Hope isn't enough here. Especially with the Foundry and everything. Good game, opponent. Did I drop it back to them? I don't know. I don't know if I dropped it back, but I did at the end there just in case. Yeah, that was awesome, dude. Going up against mono blue and being able to win with just a couple mana is sweet. Now we ended up seeing the mana there at the end again, but still, I think I should probably double check to make sure we have at least 21. And maybe in the final thoughts, we're going to have to talk about going up to 22 because it seems relatively greedy, huh? Like we want a lot on the board all the time. 21 land. Okay, well, let's see if that feels all right in the third match here because all the XP, guys. It's still popping up on the screen. We definitely have time for a few more games, actually. These games should be going a little bit faster just based on the type of aggro deck that this is. We should be losing fast and winning fast. But not in those few, huh? Right. All right. We actually have like 3 mana in our opener. We should probably keep this. I don't think it's a mulligan anyways, although we're going to run out of cards in our hand very, very fast. So probably start with Rabbit Battery over the Gingerbrute, because then we'll have the potential for like a reconfigure open on turn 2 and stuff. Not sure if we'd want to reconfigure, but we'd have that open if we wanted to. I think it's probably double Gingerbrute, but... well, we'll see. Yeah, Skrell. Okay, double Gingerbrute probably. Get it all down. More mountains off the top. Oh no, guys. Here we go, right? Swing for 3. Come on. We really don't want to see another land now. Although Mycosynth Garden wouldn't be terrible. Vanguard gets picked up by Voltage Surge, but we're going to have to target Skrelv first. Gingerbrute. Okay. I wonder... So Skrelv protects, but if we target Vanguard and they protect with Skrelv, they're actually taking 2 damage this turn then. So I wonder if we just like... We just don't. And we just use one of Gingerbrute's abilities. I guess I should have saved one Gingerbrute back. And see if they trade here, which they probably don't, and they go down. Yeah, we should have saved one Gingerbrute in hand and kept the Voltage Surge open instead. The problem was, I figured we were doing a wide swing there. But then I changed my mind after playing it. Yeah, see, Voltage Surge open would have picked one of those up without having to worry about the ward cost. Yeah, a little bit punished there because of my hasty play with that Gingerbrute. The question is, can these Gingerbrutes get the rest of the damage through before they can? And I don't think they can. So no blocks. Yeah, the Skrelv being open for protection still. Mycosynth Garden. Yeah, we're seeing the mana this game, huh? And that would be a great... We should copy Rabbit Battery, right? I suppose that's what we end up doing here. We'll go Mycosynth Garden for 1, Rabbit Battery, and then we reconfigure for 1. And then these are just absolutely terrific trades for us. And again, unfortunately, that one Gingerbrute, I guess now it acts as a chump blocker. Or can we survive the turn? There's a chance that we don't survive next turn. There's a chance that they buff this board state. Let's do it, man. Let's do it. We'll attempt to get 5 damage through this time. This is still pretty cool, isn't it? Do they go for the blocks? They do not. They can only block the 2/2s, and both would have traded beautifully. They decide that their 4/1 recruitment officer is more valuable than our 2/2 Gingerbrute, which I agree with them completely. Especially if they can buff this board state again, then we're in some serious danger. If it's mono-white humans, they could be playing the adversary. Knight Errant of Eos. Restock their hand, maybe find a Cathar. Still have 3 mana open. They actually find a Peacekeeper and a Thalia to be able to tax that Voltage Surge. Luckily we have enough mana, but we're trying to be aggressive here. And these Gingerbrutes just aren't buffed enough to actually get there before they can next turn, I suppose, right? Because they have 11, 15, 16, yeah, 22 damage on their board, I think. Automaton, you are so late to the party, buddy. Oh my goodness. So we're going to be forced to use that Voltage Surge on one of their Vanguards next turn. So we no longer, since they taxed it, we no longer have the option to swing in with the Gingerbrutes and get damage through, because we'll need the ward on the Vanguard. So like super duper punished for that one turn where I played that Gingerbrute, unfortunately, guys. Oh, and then they'll have the Skrelv open too. Oh no. All right, well, you know what? In that case, maybe we can have like some really strategic blocks. Keep the Gingerbrute. So we'll swing, bring him down to 4. Wait a minute. Do I want to play Automaton, or do I want to attempt a block with Gingerbrute and then sacrifice it to gain some life? Okay, I think that might actually be better. Attempt to sacrifice it to gain some life, right? So we'll block. Yeah, that actually might be enough, man. If we win this, then what on earth? No removal for the Brute? No removal for the Brute. This is great news. Great news, guys. So we can block here successfully. Activate the Brute's ability. Okay, they still have 3 mana and a card in hand. Up to 4, so the 3 didn't end up mattering, but you never know what that 1 card could have been. So, activate. They don't have a creature with haste over there. Activate. GG opponent. It wasn't removal or anything. Oh my goodness. Everything came into play there. Everything that we saw, I mean, like the Mycosynth Garden, everything we saw on the board, I guess, and the extra Gingerbrute actually came into play too. The one that I feel like I got plenty punished for because we could have easily picked up that Vanguard with that 1 mana Voltage Surge early on, which could have turned the tide of that battle and actually made us attack a little bit differently and maybe a little bit less aggressive. So maybe we wouldn't have even won had we done that. That was a good one, dude. That was a really good one. Gingerbrute just showing off its power, which is just an incredible ability, man, for an aggro deck like this especially. Even if we had seen our Patchwork Automaton early again, like everything mattered there. Every turn came down to us actually getting that lethal damage on the board, so. All right, opponent, what you're bringing to the table for the last match of the evening here. Ooh, oh no, I said I wouldn't do it. I said I wouldn't do it, guys, but Mirrex is our red source kind. Oh, well, so is Mycosynth Gardens, since we actually have 3 mana here too. I think this is, well, first of all, it's a much different hand than that first hand that we ended up keeping. That first hand was way more greedy than this one. Way more. Let's start getting the swings in with Gingerbrute right away. A lot of 1 mana cards. Soldiers, oh boy. Oh, real bunny corn. Bunny soldiers? Maybe, I have no idea. I guess, yeah, technically, like mural and stuff would be wild with bunny corn, so that's pretty cool. That's a neat concept, opponent. Let's go Gardens. Yeah, I think we're probably safe to go wide here. Let's see what they end up doing. I don't think they block. Okay. Apprentice. Okay, we do have Witchstalker Frenzy for next turn, probably being 1 mana, which we can use the Mirrex for. Wedding announcement, cool, cool. They probably swing. Although, I guess we could, yeah. Okay, so they want to keep some blockers back. Ooh, Urabrask's Forge. Oh no, we won't have the red source if we don't play it this turn. But if we let Bunnycorn get above a 5, then we're in trouble. Okay. I guess it's going to be Witchstalker Frenzy for the turn. Any trade here is going to be good for them, except for this one. So if we go... Brute can't block, or can't be blocked. Brute can't be blocked. Then full swing with 3. Pick up the Bunnycorn with Mirrex. With the Witchstalker Frenzy, the mana off of Mirrex. Block Apprentice, then we put that counter onto a Brute. Not a bad line of play at all. If we see a mana off the top, then Forge could still come down successfully. Gonna get another 1/1 from the announcement, so maybe we just focus on making the Gingerbrutes unblockable and think about our flash artifacts for the turn. Witchstalker Frenzy. Okay, so we can't play either of these. We could power up Foundry full swing. Block here is really bad. It's probably Thopter for the turn. So they have 4 mana open. Oh man, that would be... This could easily be a Wandering Emperor, huh? Alright, let's see it. Swing with Brute. Because what it could be is Emperor go +1 onto the 1/1, but then in response we could make Gingerbrute unblockable or flash down Hoverbike and tap that 1/1 too. So a lot of responses for us if they do that. Sentinel, okay. Still have 2 open. Might not be a Wandering Emperor style deck, guys, but I thought maybe because of the bunny corn and being able to actually create tokens and whatnot. So it's going to be Battlethopter on their turn. It trades into Sentinel, but we're trying to be aggressive, so we're probably not going to trade. Oh, announcement flips. This is going to be tricky, guys, because we don't entirely know what we're up against, so it's pretty hard to play around. We're going to need that red source at some point, too. Knight Errant of Eos making an appearance today, man. Okay, we could tap that down with Hoverbike, too, for the turn. Wow, great cards to see off of the Knight Errant, because they can play both of these and gain some life. Oh, buddy. That was really good, opponent. That was a really good pull off of the Knight Errant. Alright, let's go ahead. Put that Battlethopter down. They buffed this wide board state, and we are in some serious trouble, dude. Oh no, another card that requires red. Yeah, what have I done, guys? You know what, though? As greedy as it is, more testing required for this mana base, guys. I don't know if it really is that greedy. I know it's greedy, but is it that greedy? Yeah, probably, but still, more testing required, I'd say. Can successfully get the Gingerbrutes through. We do have some trick blocks next turn. I apologize, opponent. I am thinking, buddy. A lot more to think about here than I was anticipating. Yeah, the wedding festivity being a thing just instantly put us in danger. And only having the Hoverbike is rough business, man. So we should at least get 2 through. At the very least. Unfortunately, now that they're able to... Yeah, I don't even think we can successfully fly in the air here. But Liberator can become a pretty good blocker. We want to play the High-Speed Hoverbike before. We'll have Witchstalker Frenzy for 1 if we full swing. But if we full swing, then the Gingerbrutes... Yeah, we'll have to activate both Gingerbrutes, full swing, and then Witchstalker Frenzy could take something out of the equation. Oh, man. Knight Errant. What do we tap down here? Probably Sentinel, right? Yeah, they restock their board, then they can play both creatures they find and gain even more life off the veteran. Another veteran. Dude, this deck is really cool, opponent. I wasn't expecting, like, I don't even know. I don't even know what to call that. Go wide mid-range, right? I wasn't expecting that from the Azorus colors over there. Okay, let's go ahead and tap down their flyer. Yeah, they definitely gained enough life to be in this for the rest of the game, for sure. We take any damage from any swings, because they're definitely going to swing now that they're back up to 17, too. Okay, we take that. No blocks. Now we can successfully... the Lunarch veteran life gain. Patchwork Automaton. Bro, I feel like Automaton was late to the party all day, huh? Okay, so... if we go No, wait a minute. What am I saying? We need 2 mana. We need 2 mana open, and one of them has to be Mycosynth Garden, because we don't have a red source on the board. Oh, no. Oh, no, guys. Brutal stuff. So we have to sacrifice one of our Gingerbrutes just to successfully get the Witchstalker Frenzy. Huh? We should have... Oh. Did I click through the button for the blocking step, or am I just not thinking right now? I'm not too sure. I guess we take out the Knight Errant that's blocking. Did I Did I click through something, guys? They're back down to 13, and somehow... No, we're not still in this. They do have lethal on the board now. Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, they definitely have the 15. A good game opponent. They have 5 here, 10, 15, 21. So even if they didn't swing next turn... Oh, 22, because of frontliner. Huh. You know what? Props to the opponent, dude. Cool deck. No idea, man. I wasn't expecting Azorius mid-range, like, at all. But that's what I would call it, right? That's probably what you guys would call it, too. Azorius mid. The Bunnycorn, the Knight Errant. This was really cool, opponent, man. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we're about 50 minutes in. Unfortunately, that one has to be the last game. The deck list, man. Let's talk about this. Red deck wins artifact style is what I put for the name there. Mono red artifacts. I believe I said this when I said what was I expecting. I said like it's probably not the version of, it's not the competitive version of mono red by any means, right? Did it do a thing? It kind of did a thing today, but it also like drew really, really bad. I feel like it drew awfully or awful. So what? I'm thinking of some of those where like, yeah, how often did we actually have a chance of seeing a red source or our 4th mana in that last game? Our 4th mana, any mana, even a colorless one, would have been much, much better than not seeing that 4th mana. So how many turns was that? I don't know. So instantly we can talk about this at the very least. We can take the greed out of the mana base and make it a little bit more efficient overall. So take a Mirrex, take a Facade, chuck them in the bin, add a couple mountains. That will probably go a long way. I'm a little shocked, guys. Like I knew it was going to be greedy, but I didn't think it was going to be that greedy to where it actually held us up in maybe like 3 games. I'm astonished by that because yeah, 13 red sources is still a really good chunk. Mycosynth Garden can be that red source for 2 mana, which is why, again, another reason why 21 is better than like the 20. For 2 mana, we could have that red source, and then Mirrex also acting as that red source for a turn, which did actually help us in that last game for sure. Actually being able to cast out that Witchstalker Frenzy with that Mirrex was huge because we actually were able to use the Gingerbrute. Okay, so what would I do? I would get rid of some of the greed in the mana base. It's not required. I could even see dropping the Mishra's Foundries. What I would keep, though, is the Mycosynth Gardens. I think this is a key component in this mana base easily, dude. Easily. There's so many great targets to copy. We even saw how simple it was to just copy a Rabbit Battery and win that way. So all 4 Mycosynth Gardens, yes, definitely one of the reasons to even play artifacts to begin with. The rest of them, you could drop and just go up mountains easily. Easily, and I think maybe already that'll make the deck run more effectively. Actually really liked Battlethopter. I think it was a fine one of. We didn't get to see Urabrask's Forge do anything today, but you know what? If we had, I think it would have been perfect in a lot of those games. So I think we still want the 4 of these, especially since we're keeping the 4 Mycosynth Gardens as well. I like the double Witchstalker Frenzies. I like the double Torch the Tower and the double Voltage Surge. Having a good variety of burn spells that can remove things at all different toughnesses. I like that. I think it worked out really nicely. Like the one of Ronin a lot. Rabbit Batteries as a 4 of was terrific. You know what? Synthesizer actually did a thing today too. Last couple times I played Synthesizer, it seemed like the Exile was always the worst scenario of the Exile. Like, well, we have 3 mana open, so as long as we don't see our 1/4 drop in the deck, and then you see the 1/4 drop when you play the Synthesizer. I feel like that's just how Magic is sometimes, though. But yeah, overall, I think Synthesizer did great today. Gingerbrute, of course, Sir Ginger was awesome, and Automaton was just late to the party a little bit too much. Would have liked to see Hoverbike do a little bit more, as I feel like it didn't do too much. Still think it's a really neat one of, especially when, like, sometimes Rabbit Battery can't effectively swing or can't get onto something that can effectively swing, like a Brute that has that top ability. So, like, tapping down your 1/1 and swinging in the air with a 2/2 is actually not bad at all. And the flash is really cool with the automatons and everything too. Yeah, overall, guys, you know, I hate to say it, I do feel like I got a little unlucky today. I don't like blaming things on luck at all, but it kind of felt, yeah, it kind of felt that way. You guys will have to let me know in the comments. Was it just the way I put it together? Was I just way too greedy with this mana base? In the description, I might go ahead and put a modified mana base down there just for the sake of consistency. So if I do that, I'll label the two decks separate. I'll label one the deck that we played in the video, and the other one deck list modified for consistency as well. So guys, if you made it this far into the video, for real, y'all are champions. Let me know, what would you add or take out in the comments, and definitely let me know if I'm right and I did get a little unlucky, or if I was just way too greedy, huh? Either way, thanks again for being here, and I will see you in the next video.